Alright, so before this video begins, a few things. If you hear, that means a character has died or is a casualty and is actively being added to the casualty counter. If you hear and see this on screen, that means a character missed and would have missed regardless of what the other character would do. If you hear this and see this on screen, that means an animation error or a continuity error has occurred. If you hear this sound, it means nothing about the shot in question worked. And finally, if you hear, along with some text on screen, that means a character is actively being awarded for something they've done.
You know what's his name.
Yeah, the seats are empty here, but I'm calling a whole load of BS on the crowd arriving that fast afterwards. I guess we could say this is an oops. And also, in my opinion, this just might be one of the worst hairdos that Velvet has this entire season. I need to make this be known. I do not like girl boss haircuts. There's rarely an instance where I like a pixie cut outside of Sabine Wren. But in my opinion, this is just one of those haircuts that just does not work for the character. Velvet is a hip and trendy fashionista queen. I guess I'd call this one of those liberal haircuts, honestly, because it's really giving that vibe. This isn't even me being political. It's just that most feminist haircuts are just bad. Like, really, really bad. Like, Velvet is not a tomboy, so why the tomboy haircut here? Just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, this haircut sucks.
You know what's his name.
Right. It's nice to meet you.
Ah yes, Katie Killjoy, my most favorite on my list of least favorite Kaminoans, which is all of them. Actually, no, my most favorite to least favorite Kaminoans would be Kaminoan Senator Hal Bertoni, only because she's just got a nice design. Katie Killjoy, Xuan Wei, Lama Su, and Nala Se knows what she did. I don't know how she's doing this. She must have some insane leg muscles to squat like this for that long in this position. She could have been a jerk right up front, but at least she is being formal enough to extend a formal greeting to the Princess of Hell. Her hands are huge, though. They're about the size of Charlie's entire head. They're actually bigger than Charlie's head. Man, that's awesome in the background, though. Is that like Shockwave, but a hammerhead? That's cool. Yo, writing team, bring this into the next season, because that's sick. I do have to question Charlie's hesitance to accept this hand. You would think that Charlie, being royalty, would be familiar with formalities like this. She would have to have watched her father do them, watch her mother do them, or just at least be trained in doing so because she is a princess. Then again, we do not know Charlie's exact role in politics in Hell. There is a funny moment where Charlie gets upset about being slandered by Katie Killjoy to be a dictator, but I wouldn't call that slander because Charlie, you are a dictator. You weren't elected, your father wasn't elected. He is an absolute totalitarian monarch, aka king, aka dictator with a crown, who married a woman who became the female totalitarian monarch, aka queen, aka royal dictator's wife. The two of them got together and had you, an absolute baby monarch, aka princess, aka little baby dictator.
It's Morning Star. It is Miss, right? Because we all know queers can't get married.
I actually appreciate Katie Killjoy's kind of sexist jokes here, or homophobic jokes here, because I find it refreshing that for once it's not a man. People generally don't seem to understand, and I'm tired of seeing this, that the patriarchy, the so-called patriarchy, is not just men. There were women who were just as sexist, just as homophobic, and just as transphobic, simply due to the circumstances of the times they were raised in and a refusal or unwillingness to change. For example, there were women who actually fought back against the first suffrage movement, for example, due to a desire to cling on to traditional womanhood because it was their entire world. If you are this person who has lived a certain way their entire life and are happy and content with that living style, a new group of so-called feminists come in and put forward all these ideas that just blatantly contradict with the way that you view the world, you are going to feel threatened. And so they react hostilely. Queerness directly contradicts old hardline traditionalism that was so prevalent in the era that Killjoy was likely from. So this is refreshing to see. Charlie doesn't feel the same way. There is a bigger issue with this statement, however, and that's that nobody can get married down here. It's hell. Marriage is a union under law. Well, there's very clearly no law down here. It's hell. It's a union under God, and it's obvious why that's not happening. So I just genuinely like to think that this is just Katie Killjoy smoking a bunch of bull crap and is just trying to get Charlie upset.
More time, dear. Come on, you still need to get camera ready.
Charlie is camera ready. She's not wearing anything that's too different from what you're wearing, Katie. Like, what is it? Is it the pants? It must be the pants. That's the only thing it could be. She just has something against pants. And I mean, I don't blame her. Men's jeans freaking suck. Unless she's like me and has some deep, dark,
Seething, dark, unexplainable, inexorable, indomitable, deep-rooted hatred. The very concept of a bow tie.
sorry, something must have come over me there. Yeah, I just really hate bow ties.
Oh, sweetheart. Yeah.
Yuck yourself, lady, and go get some whitening strips. Ugh. You ain't doing yourself any favors here, gulper eel lips.
Welcome back to me. I'm here with Charlie Morningstar. Thomas.
The irony is Superman once had a power like this once. And that as a whole makes this whole situation funnier because Superman was basically the original clickbait. There are so many examples of this that there is just an entire subreddit called Super Dickery that is just dedicated to comic covers where Superman is being a jerk. And it's all entirely clickbait until you actually like buy the books and then there's actually a reason for why he's acting like it on the cover. It was done so that men in the 1930s walking around and happened to stumble upon a comic stand would stop and look at the comic stand and go, "Oh my God, is that Superman? Is he killing Lois Lane in space?" And then, they'd buy the comic. It actually makes sense that Vox would reference one of these clickbait Superman covers. Because, yeah, this was clickbait. His power actually wasn't shooting rainbows at his fingers.
Daughter of our big old devil dad.
Even though she works for Vox and Lucifer and Vox are not on good terms, this just proves how much of a suck-up to anyone Katie Killjoy actually is.
And founder of the Has-Been Hotel.
She says Has-Been Hotel correctly in this instance, but says Hash Brown Motel later on. Ah, sweet. Velvet just has a new line of makeup that just hit the stores pentagram wide. We are going to move on from this scene and then move to the fight scene, though, because this was important to kind of set up where Nifty is. Ooh, Alastor looks menacing in this shot. Nice cinematography. The camera is moving down, so we look up at him to give the impression that he's bigger and more imposing. The shadow makes him appear more mysterious and taps into our fear of the unknown. The glowing eyes and the glowing teeth give an unsettling silhouette. This is a nice shot. Also, is it just me or does that house kind of look like the monster house a little bit? Like it kind of looks alive. I also appreciate some of this architecture that's from different eras because not everybody in Hell would have died at the same time. We don't see this too often because most of Hell does look rather modern, but this is like a Renaissance era neo-Gothic castle tower. My headcanon is that some evil Renaissance era Pope lives here. I'm thinking Pope Sixtus the Fourth. I mean, he deserves it for embroiling the papacy in bloody local wars, creating and authorizing the Spanish Inquisition, and for participating directly in the Pazzi conspiracy, which was a failed attempt to assassinate Lorenzo de' Medici. I mean, there's strong accusations that he's allegedly been in homosexual relationships as well, so he tracks for one of Viv's characters. There's also a nice usage of color here to signify advantage from each side. You'll notice that as Alastor has the advantage, the background is red. But when Vox and the other Vees have the advantage, it's blue. This conflict seems to be happening right on the border between the entertainment district and the capital area. I'll assume the place where Charlie and Katie Killjoy are arguing at is also in the entertainment district. So, for later on. And so we see Alastor's shadow manifest on the ground as he steps forward and essentially tells Vox to stop being a coward. He's ready to end this. And so as he's telling Vox to come on out, we have some interesting looking sinners here. We have some guy that's either a dragon or a Ceratosaurus looking guy. Some dude that's either giving serious Daft Punk or Dead Mao vibes. Bro, I would pay money to know how someone died and turned into an eclair. And so Alastor gets more intense and Vox answers the call. This wine glass looking girl looks like she just walked out of a bar herself. The whole hole? The frick's that supposed to mean? Finally, some normal-looking store. Who wants to go to the Zap Shack, y'all? She's actually one of the best background designs in this show. She's like a cute little mushroom demon. But that does mean she was probably trying to get high off some shrooms before she died. We can see electricity starting to form on this cactus dude, which means this is probably the second guy we've now seen that had this embarrassing death. But that is an alarming sign because that means a current is making a connection with him. All right, we're going to get back to this in a moment because Vox's feats of electricity throughout this are going to be a reoccurring theme in this video.
She's like, oh my god, I may be intoxicated out of my mind, but I just witnessed murder.
She just looks scared, like you want to give her a hug. They both run off because they don't want to die either, and so we get a casual shoulder flick from Vox. And so Vox starts trying to smooth talk Alastor, and you'll notice this a lot in this video, with weird frames that happen. Vox is pulling out his inner Broadway performer with this run animation here. And here's another funny looking frame for you guys, but there's actually something going on here that hints at Vox's shark-like nature further. And it's that Vox has rolled over his third eyes. A shark's third eye is actually a protective membrane that rolls up over their eye to protect them while hunting. Unlike humans, sharks don't lubricate their eyes like we do. So while they're feeding, to protect from debris falling into their eye, they roll over this protective membrane that is translucent and acts as a shield. Not every shark does this, however. For example, great whites notably do not. But for Vox to be doing this, it means he's about to feed. You can actually watch the membrane roll over his eyes, which is a fun detail. Look at Alastor's smug expression. He already has this in the bag and he knows it.
Shitting on your precious hotel.
Alastor's smile actually falters here for less than a second, but he immediately puts it back on the moment he gets a chance. Another comical Vox frame for any who want it. It's funny how Vox is acting like this silences him, but there is nothing that's stopping him from speaking. He's a screen. So Alastor continues his smug talk, and Vox gets incredibly ticked as usual, and so finally... ballroom dancing Valentino. You gotta wonder though, does Valentino just like give off this gas? Like, does it just emanate from his pores? Because like it's just spilling all around him, like look. Also, there is clearly no Velvet in this shot, but Velvet just miraculously appears later on. So that's a big ol' me when I see a scalper.
TMI, Val.
Oh, it's you.
And so we have Valentino and Vox and Velvet's like, can I film this? And Alastor's like, no, I don't think he wants his butt beaten a second time because he's beaten Vox a lot by this point. And so he opens up with a thrust from these tentacles. Vox delivers an F-bomb and the fight is on. And so Vox's first move is a grapple. And yes, if Vox hadn't done anything, this would have hit him in the head. It's always good to see the characters aiming for their opponent. And so he appears to electrify these tentacles and disintegrate them. And this alone is a testament to Vox's power. Let's start with base level here. The average flat screen TV uses 50 to 200 megawatts of power. And that is probably the amount of power that Vox uses for anything that has to do with his face, while drawing 0.2 to 0.5 kilowatts to power his robotic body, which is the real number for a humanoid robot of his size. To calculate power usage, there's a simple formula you can use. Watts times hours used divided by 1,000 equals kilowatt hours. A practical equation that you can use in your everyday life as well. Running this equation gives us that Vox's head probably consumes 0.2 to 1.2 kilowatt hours of electricity per day if he is like a normal flat screen TV, while his body likely consumes 5 to 15 kilowatt hours for day-to-day tasks and operation. Combining these together means that in a single day, Vox consumes either 5.2 kilowatt hours at minimum to 16.2 kilowatt hours maximum. Using that biggest number, that gives you exactly 113 in a week, 486 to 502 in a month, 486 exactly if it is a 30-day month. And if that's true, then it is 5,913 per year. These numbers actually make Vox very energy efficient for a humanoid robot of his size. He's using on average basically the same amount of energy a human being uses when they do industrial work. We're going to see more of Vox's potential energy here because he grabs this tentacle and disintegrates it. The ability to disintegrate something with electricity generally depends on what the thing you're disintegrating is and to what state you're disintegrating it into. So let's just start with the minimum and work our way up. To disintegrate 1 kilogram of water, which is equal to organic tissue, you would would need either 2 to 5 megajoules. And that's probably what Vox is doing here to disintegrate these tentacles, but let's go back to when he disintegrates this demon. So since we obviously can't measure this on real demons, and this is a fictional show, we'll just assume that this is like a human body. For the average sized human body, you would need 200 to 300 megajoules. However, this is slow. Too slow for what Vox is doing here. Even while using this much energy, it takes crematoriums several hours to disintegrate a human body. To produce enough electricity to disintegrate something near instantly, like what Vox is doing here, the power levels he is putting out must be staggering. If Vox wanted to disintegrate a human being in a millisecond to deliver the 300 megajoules required to do so, he would have to be drawing an absolutely absurd 300 flipping gigawatts. To disintegrate something like this, Vox would have to be putting out 79,200 megawatts of power, considering he is not turning it to ash and is rather turning it to gas. This is crazy. For example, the nuclear power plant in my town only is putting out 1,000 megawatts of power. That is 1 gigawatt. 1 gigawatt from a nuclear power plant, and Vox is using 300. Vox essentially uses 2.9 gigajoules to disintegrate a demon to make a point to Alastor. A very massive FU to Alastor indeed. That is the amount of power the average US home uses in a month, but delivered instantly. You're only going to see Vox's feats in electricity get crazier in this video. So Spider-Man-like stance here, I guess that's what you could call that. It's like a superhero stance. And so then he teleports. And so Velvet goes for the Roblox Ninja emote run. I guess that's what I'll call it. It's like the run animation for the ninja pack. And so Valentino draws his gun, and he's overcompensating for something. Man, that revolver. Valentino's a fan of Kentucky Ballistics because he's rocking a 460 S&W Magnum. This baby pushes 200 grain bullets at insane velocities. It's actually the highest velocity revolver in the world. Valentino seems to have modified his with a heart-shaped trigger guard and a extended barrel. It has a 5-round unfluted cylinder. It fires 454 Castle, 45 Colt, and 45 Schofield rounds. And here's the sugar on the cream. He also has a Glock 19. And so then with his guns drawn, Valentino runs, and it's nice to see him using an actual gun stance when he's running. Also, the hard booze store in the background's also a nice touch. We see Alastor try to use his powers, but it doesn't work. And so we're on to Vox's second crazy feat of electricity. How much do you want to bet the midnight bars actually only open at midnight? Like, this is gonna turn into one of my ADHD rants again, but imagine you're there and you arrive 1 minute before, 1 minute after 12 o'clock, and so you're greeted by some booze Nazi at the door that's like, no alcohol for you. Like, you have to arrive there at exactly 12 o'clock, and then you either make out for exactly 60 seconds or grab your mojitos and head out the door. They don't accommodate different time zones either. Their 12 o'clock is everyone's 12 o'clock. And so some bar Nazi just has to stand by and watch you and your girlfriend as you kiss each other. So that way he can break you up the exact second the clock strikes 12:01. That's my headcanon, and that alone would make this place hell. This building looks like it has teeth. For electricity to explode, usually chemicals have to be present, but not this case. So it seems what we have here is what is called an arc flash. Most arc flash hazards occur at 400 volts and above. The fault currents of these, however, are typically massive, ranging from 10,000 to 25,000 amps. These occur when a current bridges an air gap between conductors, and judging by the surface that Vox hit seeming to be made of metal, that seems to be what happened here. We can actually determine where the current is and where it was going by looking at what happened on screen. Vox's discharge is neither alternating nor direct current, acting more like a lightning strike. It is a rapid, non-continuous discharge that flows in a unidirectional path. The electricity then arcs outwards into a circle. This means it is turning the air around it into plasma. It is doing this because it has made connection with a metal conductor. Now, unfortunately, this is nowhere near Alastor, though, so I'm going to have to give Vox a... But that honestly doesn't matter, considering it blows up. The red-hot plasma was ignited by the electricity, so kaboom. And so here we see the culprits of who did it. This flash right here is the arc flash that caused the explosion. It is trying to reach back towards Vox to complete an electric current, but detonated the plasma that formed in the air. We see the current that's coming from Vox, meanwhile, try to make another connection with another conductor because it can't complete the circuit. And so with nothing to return to, the original current now just tries to find another conductor by just attaching to the metal. But with nothing else actively completing that circuit, it just slowly dies. I'm really starting to feel like Mr. Electric in this video.
Watts? You know, watts, as in a measure of electrical power. The 60-watt bulb? Watts?
You are absolutely going to be hearing from that guy again, I guarantee it. Just you wait. And so Alastor is flung into the air by the shockwave generated from this. Seeing as how the plasma detonated in front of him, that is probably what would happen. And so now a current makes connection with Alastor. As living beings are mostly water, we are actually good conductors of electricity. For demons, that remains to be seen, but seeing as they have blood, I will probably guess that they have a lot of water in them as well. This is direct current. Thomas Edison's favorite thing to kill elephants over trying to promote. His second favorite pastime next to screwing Nikola Tesla up the butthole. It is a unidirectional electrical flow that delivers far more voltage than its alternating current contemporary. Now you might think that makes it better than alternating current, but as Edison tried to lie to people about, direct current freaking kills people. I mean, who can I expect from the guy that made the world's first electric company and it sucked unimaginable amounts of butt? I mean, don't get me wrong, they'll both kill you if you're a stupid, brain-dead idiot who decides to do something so obviously stupid that they teach you not to do from every single day from your elementary school life onwards. You could also just be this dumbass, though.
Hey, welcome back. What are we doing here? Hey, come back in before you get struck by lightning.
I won't get...
Now, DC is not as efficient at AC over long ranges. In fact, you tend to need another transmitter every single mile. The reasons for this are a bit complicated, but I'll explain it to you in this way. AC is a flow of electricity, up and down. It flows. It has a natural up and down, a dip and a dive, meaning it's more stable and it can carry further. DC is erratic. It flies forward in a straight line. And so as a result, it loses a lot of electricity on the way over. Electricity naturally does not want to move in a straight line. What we see is this direct current connected with Alastor, and so you see all the electricity it lost flying away from him. And so it turns the air into plasma and kaboom! And you just see the electricity just disintegrating absolutely everywhere. You can also actually see the current going back towards Vox, so this circuit was in fact completed. And so Vox throws Alastor into the pavement here, and this looks like it wasn't actually completed in storyboard. Somebody didn't do their job here because Alastor is still moving like he's in the previs phase. Watch him. He's actually not animated here and is just being slid backwards across the floor like an action figure. His foot also clips through the concrete multiple times. And they also didn't give Vox a face. That's what this stuff looks like in the previous phase. So Vox teleports towards Alastor and you get this really funny shot if you pose it right as it's happening. I'll even make that into a meme template for you guys. I even adjusted the gamma so it's like back to normal. Here's the full view of it for anyone who wants it. Just like take a screenshot. And so after a dash that could give Sonic the Hedgehog a run for his money.
Hi, it's Sparky. Looks like you got your mind made up. Let's see if you can keep up.
Right, you salmon rat.
We have a Vox Tech vending machine with his face on it. Man, this guy is a narcissist. Man, she looks like someone I'd hang out with, though. She's got a nice hat. She's got a nice hairdo. She's got, like, some nice, like, you know, eyelashes done. And she's got a nice tight dress. Like, I mean, she's rocking that pink and white combo. $10 for what looks like chip clips, though, is an absurd ripoff. And it doesn't matter because he charges you $420 to even be brainwashed by him. But if you get his Vox membership, though, he gives you a discount, so at least there's that. He doesn't say how much that gives you, and there's this random blurb at the bottom of it that looks like it's all the terms and conditions that could brutally screw you over, but hey, it's a discount. Oh, never mind, she's freaking dead. Yeah, no wonder he has to charge $420, because he can't even pay enough good builders to build his ceiling without it collapsing. Alastor didn't even hit it. Why is this sign fallen down and have blood on it? Nothing would have hit this sign to cause blood. Playing it back frame by frame, Alastor comes flying in from the left, and nothing about him would have hit the sign. In fact, we can see he is in front of the sign. So I'm actually going to give this sign the... And so now Alastor recovers from this horrible blow that was dealt to him by Vox, and he sees something we clearly don't. He is looking off screen. And so when Vox decides to demonstrate to the radio demon that he has the power of the sun in the palm of his hands, and some insatiable desire to steal bags of gold from banks, we can actually determine that Vox's shot did indeed come from where Alastor was looking, so that's good. And so Vox now confronts Alastor, and Alastor has grabbed one of his wires. So nothing of note happens while Vox is talking to Alastor in this scene other than his hypnotic eye going. But then Alastor grapples Vox's arm, and what happens is a very interesting exchange. Do not ever use the word filth again, Vivzy Pop, because it just implies that you're into a crowd. And so Vox now notices Alastor's grapple on him and realizes, oh crap, I'm in trouble. Alastor's shadow is behind him and has the wrap going over behind his arm. Also, the dead demons have disappeared in this shot, so then the shadow pulls and that loosens the overall strand. And so then what happens is, as the wires close back in, it binds Vox behind his back, and so then Alastor releases his hold on the wire and Vox goes flying. And this is like something next to gas station sushi that I would never trust. Like, what is it, a bunch of pick-me girls? Like, what are the odds you go there and it's like just like actual like literal dogs? Like, it's like actual hellhounds. And it's not like the good looking ones like Luna either. It's just like any like hellhound that they found in an alleyway somewhere. So then after Alastor's throw, what is it with Vivzy Pop's obsession with like giving every character regardless of gender high heels? We pan upwards and Valentino does what I can only describe as like a sort of smoke bomb, because like it curls around him, and that's actually a fair strategy because it keeps Alastor from knowing where the next shot will come from. And so we actually have a moment of Alastor looking left and right and oh no, Valentino. Alastor didn't need to dodge that. It's flying right past him. You were about to give him a haircut if he leaned forward. Good to see Alastor pull his hand back too, though, so that every part of him is away from the gunshot. And so that shot would have hit Alastor had he been standing there. I'm sorry, that frame. I spent a while looking at that frame while editing this, and it still makes me laugh. But so Alastor avoids until we see him try to get his thing to work, but it's not. And Valentino charges from the mist. And so Alastor launches two tentacles towards him, and oh, we have a spin. Now, there's good spins, and there's bad spins. I'll give you 3 examples of good spins. The first kind of good spin is what Obi-Wan does here, which is moving with the momentum of a strike. He pushes Anakin's saber up overhead, and so as to pull around when Anakin comes back around to the opposite side. When you've gathered momentum in a swing, it's easier to just continue that movement than to awkwardly stop and switch back around. The second kind of good spin is called a weave, which is what Obi-Wan performs here. He is catching Anakin's blade on his own and warding it off. A weave is done to give yourself more mobility between a strike. Sometimes it's easier to maintain a continuous flow if you just move your whole body rather than just your arm. And it can be done instead of a hanging guard or a parry. And the last kind of good spin is what Anakin is doing here, which is anything where you just actively defend your back as you're spinning. Now, here's an example of a bad spin, which is basically this entire fight scene. Renfrey here is committing some awful spins. She's exposing her back the entire time. She is also switching around, which is just stopping any of her force that she is gathering and is just forcing her to turn around awkwardly, which is making her slow and thus able to be attacked. So with those in mind, let's look at Valentino's spin here and see how effective it is. Oh, interesting. This seems to be a spin in which Valentino moves with the momentum of his arm. He performs a weave because he doesn't stop facing Alastor. It's also a dodge. This tentacle would have hit him had he still been standing where he was, so he moved with the momentum of his arm and rolled over. And that's actually what we would call this kind of move, a rollover. That's amazing. And so then he moves out of the way to avoid a... Alastor has to get his first. This wasn't going to hit Valentino. So then he's running with his guns in an at the ready position, and had he not moved, this tentacle would have hit him. But then, oh no. That's another miss for Alastor. He's just not in his game today. And so then he runs up to Alastor with his guns drawn and at the ready, and I'm starting to think the owners of these stores are just running out of ideas. Horny stuff like they're not even trying. Now, most interestingly, Valentino here has a heart-shaped barrel. Would this work? I mean, I guess it wouldn't not work, but I mean, I wouldn't do it. Also, we can see the revolver chamber here as he is chambering rounds, although there's no bullets. So I don't know what he's shooting. This does appear to be a 5-shot cylinder, though. 1, 2, 3 are on screen, and there's only room for 2 more off screen. I do question Valentino's modification choices, though, because what in the name of unergonomic hand grips is that? It appears to be a forward swept grip, which is not anything I'd use. So then he rushes right up to Alastor and... Oh, Lord. I don't think I need to explain why this would be a death blow if Alastor didn't dodge. That is a point-blank headshot with a 200-grain bullet, which is a lot of bullet. I don't even think the radio demon can survive that much bullet. And so, of course, Alastor dodges, and man, listen to that meaty thump that revolver gives. It's like a hand cannon going off. It's beautiful. Oh man, it's so good. It sounds like my uncle going outside on the weekends to plink metal targets. And that pop from the Glock is, it's chef's kiss. Yes, I am from the southern United States. How could you tell? But so after Alastor avoids the first blow, Valentino reaches around to hit Alastor with the Glock. And notice how Alastor is holding his elbow up to the side of his head to block the barrel? That's a real gun defense technique. Now, what Valentino seems to be doing here is zoning Alastor, which is scary. But also, Valentino, mate, why are you telegraphing? Stop it! It's stupid! It exposes you and tells your enemy your next move. Just don't. You can even see Alastor looking at Valentino. He's aware of what Valentino's next move is, but Valentino here has done something tricky. Alastor can't really do something else. But first, back to that Glock shot. Now, the Glock is obviously the less powerful of these two weapons. It would still be lethal, but it is nowhere near as powerful as that revolver. The Glock chamber is 9mm, and unless you're loading it with hollow point, you don't have to do a whole lot to stop a Glock shot. Now, typically, when you see, like, police using Glocks, for example, they hold it with 2 hands, but you can actually one-hold a Glock if you are strong enough. Because down in the South, we're real men. We hold our Glocks with one hand and not like those wimps in California. And when we do two-hand them, we don't single fire like wimps. We set it to automatic and let it rip like we're John Wick. Just like the founding fathers intended. We actually care about our Second Amendment rights. And no amount of liberal leftist wimps in California will. What was this video about again? Oh yeah, Has-Been Hotel. Now that revolver should be recoiling way more than it is, but I guess I'll have to give that a pass because maybe you could argue the telegraph was the recoil. And so following the Glock shot, Val goes to bring both his hands down on top of Alastor's head. And another funny frame. So then with both of Alastor's hands occupied, there's nothing that Alastor can really do, so then Valentino goes for a skirt bash? Oh no, wait, it was another telegraph from his, left lower arm. Now, Alastor jumps up to avoid this, and that's probably not the best thing to do. Now, we can actually explain this. Alastor in this fight scene is fighting to lose. And this is a pretty smart way to do so in a non-lethal way. Alastor has 3 goals in this fight scene. They are to 1, intentionally lose in a way that allows Vox to confront him, 2, stay alive so that he can make Vox his deal, and 3, fight well enough so that Vox doesn't suspect anything and is willing to negotiate under the threat of losing his advantage. So, and so with these actions in, oh my gosh. And so with these goals in mind, Alastor's actions should be attempting to draw out the fight scene in length, keeping himself alive, and setting him up for positions to be pinned by his opponents. So with all that being said, let's go back in time to look at Alastor and what he's been doing.
A second time.
Fuck you, Wink!
Now, Alastor does genuinely try to use his powers here, but it doesn't work. This is his realization that he is going to be handicapped throughout this entire battle. And I genuinely don't think he went into this thinking he was going to make a deal with Vox. I genuinely think he just wanted to flat out defeat Vox, but then kind of realized that this is not going to be so easy. And so he figured maybe it would be better to bring this to a sort of standstill, a draw. Now, Alastor does assume a sort of defensive stance here. It is not a battle position, it is a watch position. Notice his eyes looking towards the sky. Because he wants to stay alive, he wants to make sure that he can defend against anything that's coming towards him that would be lethal. He is leaning forward, ready to evade and move his body at a moment's notice. Now, Vox's shot here does miss, so Alastor just lets it hit. This would not be lethal to Alastor and would give Vox the illusion that he is winning. Alastor is trying to gaslight Vox into believing he is winning. However, it's more nuanced because this shot is just a genuine win from Vox. This is a direct hit. And so with that, Alastor now focuses on recovery. So now, here is the question people might be asking. Why does Alastor catch Vox's thing here? Well, this was obviously an attempt from Vox to kill Alastor, so Alastor obviously had to prevent that so he could bargain with Vox. This wire would have hit Alastor in the head had he not caught it. So here's a better question. Vox starts talking to Alastor here, but Alastor throws him away because this is obviously too soon. It would be too obvious. He has to convince Vox that he is still capable of winning this if Vox loses his advantage. This gives Alastor a stronger power at the bargaining table because Vox, when weighing the odds in his head, could always keep in consideration that there is a possibility that he could lose if Alastor just locks in. This is actually smart from Vox, believe it or not. Alastor is not making a fool out of Vox here. He is just playing into Vox's intellect. Alastor is essentially playing a game of chess with Vox. Essentially, Alastor wants to play bad enough to where the stalemate could be called, but also wants to play good enough to where Vox can consider a trade. Alastor's every move in this chess match has been playing well, but insisting on a trade. Himself for something else. And so now that brings us back to what Valentino is doing here. Valentino is pushing really hard down onto Alastor's head that the best move that Alastor could actually do here is just step backwards. Generally, it is not advisable when you are in a real fight to put all of your weight into a strike like this, like Valentino is doing here. However, this move that would normally be advisable is not going to work here because Valentino's doing something tricky. But Alastor makes an error here, and it's one he does on purpose. And how do I know this? Alastor is keeping his eyes trained on only one of Valentino's arms, and one only, Valentino's gun. The only thing that would be a lethal blow to him. And so with Valentino pushing this hard, Alastor goes to jump his next telegraph. Now the issue is we do see a bit of concern on Alastor's face here. And that is because Valentino genuinely pulled one over on him. Whether Alastor was fighting to lose or not, Valentino actually genuinely won this engagement. And that is because Valentino literally checkmates Alastor in this scene. Valentino has Alastor in a position where no move he can do is good. Alastor's primary focus, as it should be, is keeping Valentino's gun hand off of him. The problem with that is that Valentino forced Alastor into a position where he is stuck. Don't believe me? Let's go over every single thing that Alastor could do in this scene, and I will show you why every single one of them is bad. If Alastor does the easiest thing and just steps backwards, it does two things. It risks freeing Valentino's gun hand, and all Valentino could have to do is just step forward and continue to press. If Alastor tries to free his staff hand to do some magic, it just compromises his block against Valentino, since Valentino is pushing very hard on two hands and Alastor would only have one arm. If Alastor tried to push up and step forward, well, that's why his other arm is in the position that it is. Not only is it effectively guarding his chest, it's preventing Alastor from moving. If Alastor tries to slip to the side and take advantage of this bind to sidestep, well, that presents two problems. His gun hand will be free, and that overextended strike will still hit him. The only option that Alastor is left with is literally the worst option, which is to jump. That telegraph on Valentino's arm was very intentional. It was to draw Alastor's attention to it so that he could free up his gun. This is bad for Alastor. Look how exposed he is. He is actually helpless in this situation, and Valentino knows it. Valentino actually uses an appropriate usage of a telegraph in a fight. as a feint. And it doesn't even matter if Alastor tries to throw up some kind of guard position in the air. Valentino could just use his gun. And this is all happening too fast for Alastor to appropriately respond with magic. So yeah, Alastor is screwed. Valentino waits for Alastor's fall to leave him perfectly exposed to line up for a pin, and bang! And look at the alarm on Alastor's face. He knows he is in a position where he is screwed if he doesn't escape somehow. So yeah, even if Alastor does end up escaping this, Valentino won this engagement. So Valentino lines up for the final blow, and I think we have an oops here. Man, that place sounds awesome. The Bone Zone. I think it's actually just an elaborate bait and switch. Like, it has the billboard down there to appeal to the pleasure-seeking crowd, but it's actually just some establishment run by skeletons. The reason why I say there was an oops here is because at 1 minute, Alastor was being held up by Valentino's arm. Where's Valentino's arm? But as Valentino prepares to fire, Alastor gets lucky and sends down his little demons here. Oh sweet, there's a dance place. And so one grabs onto Valentino's gun and the other one is climbing up around behind him on his back. The first one makes a dive for his face, but he does pull his head up to avoid that, so now it's just attacking his chest. The second one comes around to start attacking his moth collar. And so Valentino tumbles off screen, and oh, another funny frame. And Alastor catches himself on this little shadow hand. No doubt still reeling from the fact that he almost died in this fight. A strike comes flying in from off screen, and so we are revealed to the Queen of the Hood herself, Velvet, who has the most bland and unoriginal social media name ever. And you're watching someone called the Fandom Agent 44, so I know about original and creative names. Glubstep says, is that the radio demon? He looks greasy, lol. Hungry for Your Soul says, deer in headlights, LMAO. Hellfi Beats Lover says, OMFG, nuke him to double hell, queen. Ashtray says, ass Bob haircut. I like how Alastor is glitching here because, you know, he doesn't show up on camera well. That's good that they remembered that. And so Velvet just puts up a poll for vote yes or no to just completely kill Alastor. Glitter Baby says, where's Fallon Fox? Can you show them? This is actually how I read chat and comments, by the way. Aspiring Freak Show says, is she about to throw down? Shit! Bows and Bite Mark says, most beautiful woman in all of hell. I love you. Eat Your Heart Out says, you're so gorgeous, babe. Looks like Velvet's stream has hit 12,623 active watchers. And it looks like she's receiving a constant stream of hearts as well. And so as Alastor makes his recovery, we have more messages in the chat. Witches and Kisses says, the radio demon is about to get his shit wrecked. He is crazy to take you on. It seems that Velvet's audience is underneath the impression that Alastor is one crazy hamburger. Basement Dweller says, wish she would sell her spit in a bottle too. Barricade would like to know your location. Bosch Lover says, she's gotta do the thing. She's gotta do that thing. Boy, there's multiple things Velvet does in this fight scene. What are you talking about? And Sacrificial Goat says, you're so flawless. You're a work in progress. We got, oh no, wait, that's not right. You're going to see as this goes forward that Velvet is absolutely the weakest of the three V's. But now we are on to more chats. Okay, so Sacrificial Goat's full thing is actually, you're so flawless, Velvet doll. I buy all you clothes. All you clothes.
What is that grammar?
Ninth Circle says, the radio demon looks so small here. WTF? He is going to die for real. Hornwhack says, put the whole deer in the trash. And then the absolutely most disturbing one is this one. Pidofash says, he killed my friend's mom's friend, who was an overlord. And you can still hear them screaming if you listen to the broadcast. It's crazy scary. Just a quick reminder of how brutal Alastor can actually be. And so then Velvet gets her poll results, and interestingly, there is a section of people who actually voted no. But then she turns the banner into a sort of bow and arrow of sorts. And then, oh lord, let's see. I am preparing myself for a lot of misses. The first one comes in high, grazing past Alastor's face. Alastor begins forming a shield. This second one came in a bit too high, so it also would have missed. And then, oh no. This one actually would have hit the top of his head had it kept going. There's a chance that with the wind, it could have angled downwards and actually hit him. This one came in too high. This next one, she pulls too far to the right. And I don't blame her for missing these these shots because she can't see where Alastor actually is, so she's just forced to fire and then readjust and fire. So she is slowly finding out through trial and error that Alastor is not standing up, so she's aiming too high, and that Alastor is further to the right. Lining up your shots with a bow like this, especially from this distance that she's at, takes a lot of trial and error. So it is not surprising that she is missing. In fact, it is to be expected with a bow and arrow. I am expecting Velvet to miss a lot of these shots. This is not a perfect situation with the bow, where you are just standing at a distance and shooting at a non-moving target. But a lot of a bow, unlike a gun, is a lot more about your posture and your technique. So let's look at the technique that Velvet is using here, and let's see, maybe that can give us a clue as to why she is missing some of these shots. Now, there's multiple bow techniques, and archers can actually get pretty uppity when you use a certain technique over another. So these archers would insist that Velvet is using her bow wrong here. There's more than one right way to use a bow. The most common draw is this 3-finger draw known as Mediterranean draw. It is generally a well-rounded multi-purpose bow position, and thus why it is the most common, because it allows you to do a lot of things. But there are situations where this 3-fingered grip doesn't work. The Mongols found that this would jostle their arrows out of place while riding on horseback, so their horseback archers used something different. And that's actually what we see Velvet doing here, which is wrapping your entire knuckle around the arrow. Velvet, most interestingly, however, is using a variant of this type of draw called Slavic draw, which focuses on delivering power and also delivering rapid fire. This is a rather obscure archery technique for Velvet to know, implying that she is fairly skilled at using a bow. And also, by the way, yes, it is possible to shotgun a bow like what Velvet is doing here. This would explain her multiple misses because this position sacrifices accuracy. So now back to everything that's going on. Oh man, look at the alarm on Alastor's face. That would have hit him had he not moved. We've got Alastor's shadow forming, and that shot was way off. And so then the shadow's on the move, and oh dear lord. Miss, cocked too far to the right, miss, actually would have hit him, but he blocked, too far up and to the right, wonky shot, too far to the right again, and would have hit him before he moved. Alastor's shadow now trails along the ground and reaches up and grabs Velvet's leg. And so as he does so,
it was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
And so he yeets our queen down into the car. With quite some force too, because she collapsed the roof. Alastor lowers his shield, and so Vox decides to remind him,
You fool! You think that you can touch me with this? You couldn't handle my gifts with your greedy little mind. What's inside mine was ahead of its own time. You did not steal from me, you stole me from mankind!
We're back to more electricity stuff, and by the way, if this starts happening to you in real life, you need to ground yourself immediately. You need to ground yourself or run, because this is a sign that a lightning strike has made connection with you. Yes, Vox is summoning the power of the almighty god of electricity, the lightning strike. Lightning is such a mundane thing that happens in our everyday life that enough people probably don't realize how absolutely crazy lightning actually is. Lightning is insane. One single bolt is 100 to 300 million volts. That is 30,000 amps and 5 gigajoules, all burning at a temperature hotter than the surface of the sun. So Alastor feels this strike forming and turns into shadow to avoid honestly what would have been a death blow from Vox. And so we're back to Charlie and Katie Killjoy. And so after a joke that actually kind of made me laugh,
homophobic, Miss Killjoy, and I do.
I'm not homophobic. I just hate gay people. So kill me.
Nifty realizes Alastor is in trouble. And so we are going to calculate Nifty's journey. So we're going to watch and see how long it takes for her to arrive.
Hey, have you ever heard of a blobfish?
What?
Check this out. How cute is that?
Why are you like this? Look, Angel, hey.
Nifty's journey from the news station to the Has-Been Hotel took around 34 seconds. Just a little bit over half a minute. Yes, I actually timed this. Let's assume that every inner pentagram city area is about 2 city blocks. That is 4 blue whales in length. Since these types of triangles are symmetrical, that means they can be about the same on every single radius except for the bottom. The bottom we'll just say is 1 block. The outer triangles we'll say are 4 city blocks, or 8 blue whales. So Nifty ran for the entertainment district through one inner block all the way back to the Has-Been Hotel. That would be about 5 blocks. 1 block of the entertainment district, 2 blocks of the inner ring, and then 2 more blocks back to the Has-Been Hotel. To achieve this distance in under 34 seconds, Nifty's top speed would have to be reaching 65.8 miles per hour. And so Nifty kidnaps Husk and then just drags him along to help protect Alastor. And so we get this shot of Vox looking down an alleyway. But then he catches a glimpse of Alastor's shadow, and that gives him a clue. You can even see his eyes dart over towards where the shadow was. And so then Vox wraps his cords around Alastor as he tries to escape and throws him around and whirls him into a wall. And so then Vox wraps his wires around Alastor's chest to pin his arms behind his back, and he gets closer. And so now Vox is all like,
Get ready for the mega hurts. Get it? Hertz? As in the unit of electrical frequency?
I'm gonna kill you!
And so Velvet decides to go Super Saiyan on Husk. Every single one of these shots would hit him, by the way. And so Husk leaps back. This would have hit him had he not gotten out of the way in time. These 2 did miss, however, along with this one over to the side, along with this one, and that other one. And so every single one of Velvet's shots here misses. And so then Husk turns into a playing card. It looks like it's a Joker here. As Velvet's shots continue to miss around him, Husk summons his inner gambit and summons a whirling ring of playing cards and throws them all towards Velvet. All of those shots would have hit her had she not been moving, so yeah. And Valentino gets a surprise from Nifty. She crawls around into his coat to get around behind him and deliver a nice solid stab into the chest, causing him to stumble backwards. Alastor then manages to free himself. He doesn't assume a guard position, but he doesn't need to that high, and Vox just lunges. And so then all 3 of Velvet's shots here would have hit Husk had he not moved, so good on him. He summons a little magic cabinet here and flies into it. And so we have these 2 strayed to either side of him up top. This one would have hit him, but just didn't penetrate deeply enough, so it probably came in at a wonky angle. These 2 at the bottoms probably landed right between his legs and on the other side of his legs. And this one, I don't even need to say it. And so after an attack animation that would probably make a list of top anime fight scenes, Husk presumably hides inside of his top hat inside when this happens, and is at least courteous enough to give this lady some flowers. Nifty is playing hide and seek inside Valentino still, manages to get a stab right, I think on his clavicle, goes back under and then travels around the front of him, and Valentino, if you shot her with that revolver, it would go straight through her and through you. And then that Glock is just not going to hit her at all. We have a miss. This poor fool dies. And so after struggling to find where Nifty is, she leaps out, goes to land on Valentino's hat, to jump up again for a head strike, but Valentino catches and pins. And so with all of his friends under threat, Alastor goes to make Vox his deal.